Hello, hello. Welcome to English Extras. My name is Jean. If you're here, it's because you don't want to sound like a textbook. You're in the right place. This podcast is to help intermediate and advanced learners find alternatives to textbook English so you can express yourself authentically. Before we begin, if you want the transcript for this episode, you can follow the link in the description. Reading and listening at the same time is a great way to improve your English. And I also include definitions of words and phrases I use in the episode, as well as example sentences at the end of each transcript. Ready? Let's begin. It is not death that man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. This quote is attributed to Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and still famous philosopher and Stoic. Marcus Aurelius is saying here that everyone fears death, but there is something scarier than death, and that is not living your life to the fullest. The fear of death seems to be a hallmark of the human condition. And because death in many cultures is a sensitive topic, meaning not a topic many people want to talk about, many people use euphemisms. Euphemisms are substitute words, a way to refer to something without using the exact word because the exact word might upset people. So, if you want to talk about death or dying, but you don't want to just come right out and say it, you can use a euphemism to kind of soften the blow. In this episode, I'm going to share with you multiple ways to talk about death. I've divided the expressions into 3 categories: neutral expressions, religious expressions, and casual but possibly offensive expressions. Let's start with the neutral expressions. The first one has 2 versions: pass and pass away. You know how English loves phrasal verbs, so of course there's a phrasal verb for dying. Let's start with examples of pass. Here are some example sentences for pass in the past tense. He passed yesterday. He passed yesterday. She passed in her sleep. She passed in her sleep. Here are some example sentences for pass in the future and conditional tenses. When he passes, it will be difficult for the family. When he passes, it'll be difficult for the family. If she passes soon, everyone will be able to say goodbye. If she passes soon, everyone will be able to say goodbye. The second version of this is the phrasal verb pass away. In my experience, it is more common to say this than pass, but it's personal preference. You can use pass away the same way you use pass in any tense. So you can say he passed yesterday or he passed away yesterday. Both are very gentle. Another neutral way is to use the word go. This works in all tenses. Here are some examples. When she goes, I will be devastated. When she goes, I'll be devastated. He went just a few minutes ago. He went just a few minutes ago. The final casual expression I'm going to share with you is to lose someone. If you want to say that someone has died recently, you can say, we lost him, or we lost her. If you want to say that someone died some time ago, you can say, I lost them 2 years ago. I lost them 2 years ago. Them can be substituted with the person who died. If you want to ask someone if someone they knew died either recently or some time ago, that question could sound like, did you lose someone? Did you lose someone? Now, it's a sad reality that everyone knows someone in their life who has died. So this type of question doesn't really make sense if you're asking in general. So this question, did you lose someone, is typically used in the context of a specific event. For example, did you lose someone during the pandemic? Or you lost someone on 9/11? 9/11 refers to September 11th, 2001, which was the day of a terrorist attack on the Twin Towers in New York, where over 2,000 people were killed. Many people lost loved ones that day. So those are the three most common casual ways to refer to death: pass, pass away, go, and lose. Then there are more religious euphemisms. They're also neutral. And I would say that most people would not be offended by these, even if the person they are talking to isn't religious. The three religious euphemisms I'm going to share are quite specific to the Christian faith. The first one is went home to the Lord. Went home to the Lord. Christians believe in an afterlife, meaning that your soul goes somewhere after you die, presumably heaven or hell. So if the person is trying to say that someone has died and they believe in a Christian afterlife, then they might say, she went home to the Lord last night. She went home to the Lord last night. You might hear variations of this phrase. It's pretty flexible. You might hear, she has gone home to the Lord, or she went home to be with the Lord, or other ways. The important parts are home and the Lord. A simpler way a Christian might say someone has died is went to heaven. Went to heaven. It's used the same way as the previous expression. For example, she went to heaven last night. She went to heaven last night, meaning she died last night. Do you hear the difference in directness? Saying went to heaven is less direct than died. Died, in general, is very abrupt, sudden, cold. The other religious expression I hear is meet your maker. In the past tense, we say met your maker. And in my experience, this phrase is less common, but I do hear it occasionally. I might hear it in a sentence such as, last night, our grandmother met her maker. Now, let's discuss the euphemisms that are very common, but I would not recommend using them with a person whose family, friend, or pet just died. Context is important. So if you want to casually or playfully refer to death, and you're referring to the death of someone that is far removed from your life and the life of the person you're talking to, here's how you can do it. The first one I'm going to share, you might already know because it appears in the title of a very famous song by the band Queen. That is, to bite the dust. In the Queen song, the title is Another One Bites the Dust. To bite the dust means to die, but also to lose in a contest or to otherwise end in some way. Because of this looser meaning, we can use this expression to talk about the death of not just people, but cultural movements, trends, movies, etc. In the past tense, we would say bit the dust. An example of this would be, after a long, bloody battle, the fighter finally bit the dust. Or here's another one. I didn't come this far just to bite the dust. I'm going to win. Another very common way to say that someone has died is kicked the bucket. A bucket is a container with a wide opening, commonly used for holding things like water or maybe sand if you're at the beach. Why a bucket? Why are we kicking it? Why does it mean to die? There's no solid theory. But if you want to casually refer to someone's death, again, hopefully not the death of someone you know personally in real life, then you can say, oh, he kicked the bucket last week. Did you hear about that? Or, oh, did he finally kick the bucket? That's too bad. Maybe you want to be a bit more poetic. In that case, we have the expression pushing up daisies. Pushing up daisies. A daisy is a pretty white flower with a yellow center. This expression makes you think about how dead bodies become part of the earth again, like a circle of life kind of thing. Did the Lion King just pop into your head? It definitely popped into mine. Fun fact, there used to be a TV show called Pushing Daisies, without the up, that was about a man who could bring people back to life when he touched them. I never watched that TV show because I was a little too young for it at the time, but I heard good things about it. Unfortunately, it only ran for 2 years and then was canceled. The last expression I want to share is a little funny to me because it has become a cliche, meaning it's an expression that's been used so much that it no longer has the same effect like it did in the beginning. It's become boring and obvious. That expression is sleeping with the fishes. Sleeping with the fishes. This expression is used almost exclusively in the context of the mob. What is the mob? You might be wondering. The mob is closely associated with the mafia, which is an Italian-American organized crime group. But the mob can refer to other organized crime groups, not just the mafia. You might be familiar with the movie called The Godfather. The Godfather is a mob movie, meaning a movie about the mob. This type of story is very popular in the US, and an expression that became popular because of it is sleeping with the fishes. So, sleeping with the fishes is one of those expressions that you don't hear outside of crime movies. And even nowadays, you don't hear it in crime movies simply because it's become such a cliche. It's honestly a little bit funny now. People parody this a lot. Oh, Nikki, don't worry about him. He's sleeping with the fishes. So there we have it. Those are some various ways to refer to death. In general, I'd recommend sticking with pass away. But again, there's personal preference to think about too. Just remember context. Who you're talking to and who you're talking about. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, if you'd like the transcript for this episode, which also includes explanations of vocabulary and example sentences, you can find the link in the description. Until next time, bye.